Hey guys, Tarke here. Just thought I'd do another update on the Caustic Arrow character. We're going to do a quick dude, and then we'll do a boss, and then we'll run a red map. So, how is Caustic Arrow progressing along? I'm still on a 4-link. My gear's pretty much the same since my first video, but it's doing really well. It's kind of noticeable as I'm getting up into the tiers. I'm starting to notice the crazy buffed boss health. But I can say quite comfortably that with a level 19 Caustic Arrow on a 4-link, you can clear up to red maps fine. I will, at the end of this video, also very briefly explain how I've been progressing through the Atlas, since people still seem to be fairly confused about that and how it all functions. I much prefer the new Atlas system once you work out how it works. It just takes a little bit to get used to it. Did I finally get a... No. Oh. Okay, also, I've got like 1 million lungs. Like, I have all the lungs in the world, and I keep thinking that when a lung drops, it's going to be a liver. But no. Lungs are still lungs. Anyway. We're getting auto pickup added soon, which would be a nice quality of life, but I would like a slightly better balance of the organ drops. When it comes to the different conquerors, which ones are my favorites, which ones do I like, which ones do I dislike? My favorite is by far the Cold Lady with the massive wings. It's the best fight in terms of telegraphs, in my opinion. And it's also just visually a very stunning fight. I really like it. Next up, I'd probably say I quite like the Snake Dude. The Snake Dude's pretty cool. I'm not a fan of the Warlord with the flags. So when I first did him, I thought it was like a WoW boss where you had to kill like all of the flags so you could damage him. No, you just need to kill the ones in his immediate area. And when I worked that out, it made a lot more sense. So yeah, that's how that works. Ooh, on a ring, that could be interesting. Elemental weakness on hit. Cool. And I could craft life on that and have an okay-ish... It's got accuracy as well. That's actually passable. Oh, nice. So yeah, just briefly on how I'm going through my Atlas. So when you kill the bosses early on, until you eventually cap out all your stones, you get watchstones. So if you haven't yet gotten to this point... I'm just going to move my cam out of the way again. If you haven't unlocked any watchtowers yet, focus on getting the watchtowers in the 4 corners first. That is your main priority. So just run all the maps, and then exiles will start spawning. You talk to Kirik, you talk to Zana. That's how that progresses that way. Once you've unlocked the main watchtowers, then you start focusing on unlocking all the middle ones. And now most of you will probably be at the point where I am at now, where I'm progressing into early reds, and my Atlas looks kind of like this. I've unlocked most of everything. So the setup that I'm going for, as I got into my early progression into yellows and now my early progressions into reds, I want to have an even spread of my towers. So if I was to fully juice up everything, like let's say I just fully juiced up this guy. Sorry. Take that out, shove that in there. So now you can be like, oh dude, tier 14 maps, great. But I haven't got any low reds to progress up to that. So you don't want to go all in on one area until you've actually got a bit of a base. So early on, at least the way I'm doing it, this may not be the best way, this is the way that I'm doing it, is I've got a pretty basic setup of I'm going to have one area that I keep white, so I'm going to keep this bottom corner white. Then have nearly everything upgraded once, then you build quite a large base of yellow maps. Then once you're starting to get a good base of yellow maps, then I'll have one upgraded twice, then I start getting the higher tiers, like the 10s and the 9s. And then you start upgrading one 3 times, and now I'm starting to get red maps drop. So you slowly build up your base naturally. Then, if you want to, you could upgrade everything to full reds, but then that's going to be quite wasteful. You're going to want to always have at least some white maps available and some yellow maps available on your Atlas. Because if you had everything fully upgraded to reds and then a tier 8 map dropped, well, it would just roll down into nothingness as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, you always need to have something available somewhere to go for, and this is just how I'm progressing it. But anyway, speaking of red maps, let's run a red map and see how the 4-link Caustic Arrow damage is holding up. We haven't got any Helm enchants going on. I have got my Uberlab. Go away, Eldo. I have a friend who, he doesn't have social skills, personality, but he does have an obnoxious bow skill going for him, so that helps. But anyway, that was his contribution to the video. Hex through double boss, always ignite. Sure, why not? Vulnerability Ignite could be a bit annoying, but could be fun. So, let's have a look at the deeps. I've heard horror stories about red map bosses being like super tanky these days, so I'm very curious to see how that holds up. If you are really struggling with the damage, one thing that one of the guys in my private league who's also playing Caustic Arrow is doing, and he says is actually really good, is he's dropped his Wither Totem, since he applies Wither through Withering Step. And he actually has the Withering Step Helm enchant, which means that he applies, I believe it's 9 Withers per like, application, which is pretty good. And he's gone for Toxic Rain Ballistas. Now, he hasn't spec'd into Ballistas at all. He's just using, like, the default 3. And it's something that I want to try out, so I'm leveling up a Toxic Rain in Weapon Swap, and I'll report back to you guys in the next video about how that handles out. One other thing I think could be kind of interesting. So there's the new upgraded Azaneth's Chant, which has a 0.3 second. Just gonna show the point here. A 0.3 second cooldown, and it always guarantees a spell trigger when you attack. I think that could be really nice if you had a Bane linked in your helmet. And you do like Bane, Despair, then 2 DPS supports. So you get automated cursing with a bit of supplementary damage. It will smooth out the map clear and stuff. And yeah, should be alright. So these guys are actually noticeably quite tanky. And they are jumping around a lot, which means they're not staying in my clouds very much. When it comes to Arrow Nova is nice for map clearing. If I had a 5 link or a 6 link, I would use it, but I'm still on a 4 link, so I'm not using it. If you had 2 different 6 links, you could have like one Arrow Nova GMP set up and go full map clear, and then have a single target damage option for bosses. But the main reason why I like Caustic Arrow is the fact that you can very easily just set a bunch of clouds, then run around in circles, and it's very safe when it comes to learning boss fights. So I'm very, very glad that I went Caustic Arrow, and it's got, you know, pretty respectable-ish clear. I'm missing Onslaught at the moment, but I do have a Devetto's Devotion equipped, so that's kind of a wash. Deretto's Defiance would actually be a decent chest for this build. I'm still going for a Cloak of Defiance as the chest I would like to have, but for now I'm just using a Incursion chest with some life rolls on it. Oh, getting some nice returns. I'm just gonna go for a Freeze Tower there, and a Freeze Tower there. Normally I always build minion towers and fire towers, but this guy's resist minion and fire, so I just gave it Freeze Towers instead. But yeah, really, really happy with how Caustic Arrow is turning out. And I'm curious to try out a few different things. So we have the Mind Over Matter Cloak of Defiance setup, which I haven't tried before in one of these kind of builds. And we also have the potential Azaneth's Charn automated Bane setup to mess around with, which could be kind of cool. Other things which are worth noting when it comes... Oh, this isn't going well. When it comes to... Oh, God. When it comes to crafting... This is terrible. When it comes to crafting bows for this kind of a build, you're going to want to try and get plus levels. Chaos damage over time multiplier crafted from the bench. But then you can also get damage over time multiplier as a suffix. So you could go for plus levels. So like plus levels to all. +2 to socketed bow gems. Damage over time multiplier suffix. And then you could craft chaos damage over time multiplier as your third prefix. You can also get 1 additional arrow as a suffix. So there's some pretty tasty bows that you can craft now. Much better than the bows you had access to last league. But crafting them is going to be pretty tricky. Not sure what the best way of going about it will be. Dude, the returns from this map have been great. 3 reds, nice. And it's tier 10. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Also, one thing which is worth noting. I've had more blighted maps in the, like, what, 3 days this league's been out than I had in, like, the entire first month of Blight League. So, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Alright, we'll finish up the last bit of this map, do the boss, and then we can peace on out. Did we get anything good? Nothing great there. Nothing great Map's nice. If we get another red, could be good. And then I could go for a unique item, could go for additional rare. I'd rather just go for fossils. Fossils or unique item? I mean, uniques can high roll, fossils can high roll. The average fossil's worth more, but this is more fun. This could be the Cloak of Defiance. Eh? Dude, if this was the Cloak of Defiance, that'd be so pog. It's not going to be the Cloak of Defiance. It's going to be like a 1-out kind of item. If that. It's going to be a Bitter Dream. That's the ultimate BM, because you can't even vendor that. But it might not be. It could still be a Cloak of Defiance. Let's do it. Chris, make me believe in streamer RNG. And it wasn't a Bitter Dream. Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty nice returns. And that's Caustic Arrow in a nutshell. Anyway, I'm Tarke. I'll keep you guys updated. Again, this is what my skill tree would look like. If and when I get the Cloak of Defiance, I would change my routing slightly. These 2 points would go here. I would drop all of these points, reroute it that way. All these points that I would then save, I'd put into Druidic Rite and Mana Flows. And I would make do with 1 Pierce default from a quiver. And then you can also craft additional Pierce. I could also just anoint piercing shots. It's not that expensive, but anyway. I'm Tarke. Have a great day. Bye-bye.